The legend of the boy who defeated Frieza had spread across galaxies. Gohan, no longer just the son of Goku, was a name that echoed through the stars. He had brought a fragile peace to the universe. Yet, peace, as always, proved to be a fleeting illusion. Years passed in quiet anticipation. Gohan grew stronger, his wisdom deepening with each passing season. But with this growth came a profound fear of the immense power that still lay dormant within him. He had sworn never to lose control again, never to unleash the destructive force that lurked beneath his calm exterior. But destiny, a relentless and unforgiving force, had other plans entirely. The quiet breeze of Mount Paozu carried the joyful sounds of training. A young teen, Gohan, sparred with his father, Goku, their fists clashing with incredible speed. The very air vibrated with the raw energy of their exchange. Goku grinned, sweat running freely down his cheek. He exclaimed that Gohan had grown incredibly strong, admitting he could barely keep up with his son's power. Gohan smiled in return, but a shadow of restraint crossed his features. He confessed he was still holding back the beast, explaining that every time he approached that power, it felt like an internal struggle, a fight against himself. Goku nodded thoughtfully, understanding the weight of his son's words. He suggested that perhaps it was time for Gohan to learn to master it, asserting that such power was meant to be understood, not feared. Before their conversation could continue, Piccolo landed nearby, his expression grim and foreboding. He urgently informed Goku that something was terribly wrong, having just sensed two enormous chilling energies heading directly their way. Goku frowned, a hint of concern in his voice. He questioned if it might be Vegeta, but Piccolo quickly dismissed the idea. He described the new energies as feeling distinctly different, cold, and undeniably mechanical. And just like that, without further warning or explanation, the androids arrived. Androids 19 and 20 launched their assault on South City without a moment's hesitation. The Z-fighters quickly gathered, but even their combined might seemed insufficient against this new, terrifying threat. Mid-battle, Goku clutched his chest, the insidious heart virus striking earlier than anyone had anticipated. As Android 19 mercilessly pummeled Goku into the ground, Gohan's eyes widened in absolute horror. A single, desperate cry of "Dad" tore from his throat. The moment Goku's ki plummeted, something deep within Gohan snapped. His aura ignited with a blinding intensity, white lightning tearing through the very clouds above. The beast, dormant for so long, awakened with a terrifying roar. The androids, momentarily stunned, turned their attention to this new, overwhelming power. Vegeta, arriving just in time, froze mid-air, his eyes wide with disbelief. He recognized the power, noting it was even greater than before. Android 19, recovering quickly, smirked. He extended his hand, declaring his intention to absorb the detected energy. But before his hand could make contact, Gohan vanished. In a single, impossibly fast strike, he drove his fist straight through the android's chest. Circuits scattered like dust, and 19 was no more. Dr. Gero, Android 20, screamed in disbelief. He demanded to know what impossible power this was. Gohan turned, his eyes glowing with an eerie silver-white light. His voice was cold, devoid of emotion. He stated that Gero should not have come here. He unleashed a ki wave of unimaginable power, blasting Gero with devastating force. The explosion vaporized the entire city block, and the sheer energy nearly split the clouds open for miles around. But the nightmare was far from over. Weeks later, the true androids, 17 and 18, were unleashed upon the world. Unlike Gero's earlier creations, these two were stronger, smarter, and infinitely more dangerous. Piccolo and Vegeta faced them first, their combined efforts proving futile. Even after fusing with Kami, Piccolo couldn't keep pace for long. Vegeta, now a Super Saiyan, found himself completely outmatched. Android 17 smirked mid-battle, taunting the Saiyans about their supposed specialness. He challenged Vegeta to see how his golden hair would fare against his power. He slammed Vegeta into the ground with brutal force. The Saiyan Prince gasped in a mixture of rage and pain, bleeding from the impact. But before 17 could deliver a finishing blow, Gohan appeared. His aura radiated across the battlefield like a beacon. a blinding light cutting through the storm. Gohan's voice was cold and unwavering as he commanded 17 to step away from Vegeta. Android 18 tilted her head, a curious glint in her eyes. She recognized him as the kid everyone talked about, Frieza's killer. Android 17 chuckled, a cruel smile spreading across his face. He declared that this might actually be fun. Their fight erupted instantly, a blur of speed so incredible that even Piccolo struggled to track their movements. Gohan moved through 17's relentless attacks effortlessly, dodging and countering like a phantom. Vegeta, barely conscious, watched in stunned disbelief. He muttered that Gohan was stronger than him, stronger than all of them. When 17 attempted to trap Gohan in an energy barrier, Gohan shattered it with pure aura alone. His energy spiked, far surpassing any Super Saiyan level. Krillin, hiding behind the rocks, muttered to himself that this was insane. He speculated that Gohan's power level had to be in the billions. Finally, Gohan released a devastating shockwave that sent both androids crashing into a distant mountain range. The resulting explosion carved a crater the size of a city. When the dust settled, 17 stood, barely damaged, and laughed. He declared that this was precisely what he had been waiting for. But something else was watching from the shadows, something learning, something evolving. Cell. Absorbing the remains of 17 and 18, Cell reached his perfect form far earlier than in the original timeline. His first, singular objective was to hunt down Gohan. When they finally met, Gohan's aura flared instinctively, a primal warning. Cell smirked, sensing a kindred chaos within the young Saiyan. Cell acknowledged Gohan as the one who killed Frieza, calling it impressive. He then taunted Gohan, claiming he had been hiding his true nature, that the beast inside him was just like Cell himself. Gohan glared, his voice firm. He vehemently denied being anything like Cell. Cell merely laughed, promising they would soon see. Their ensuing battle shook the very foundations of the Earth. Cell was faster than anyone Gohan had ever faced, his attacks sharp, precise, and utterly unpredictable. But as Cell relentlessly taunted him, mocking Goku's death and threatening the entire planet, Gohan's rage finally broke free. The sky above them turned a blinding, incandescent white. Every mountain for miles around disintegrated into dust as the beast returned in its whole, terrifying fury. Cell stumbled back, his eyes wide with a dawning horror. He demanded to know what Gohan was. Gohan's voice echoed like thunder, resonating with raw power. He declared himself the one Cell never should have awakened. In one impossibly swift strike, Gohan appeared behind Cell, driving his fist straight through his chest. Cell gasped, his perfect form cracking under the immense pressure. Gohan then unleashed one final, devastating beast Kamehameha, obliterating Cell. The blast reached orbit before finally fading into nothingness. A profound silence fell across the ravaged landscape. The other Z fighters stood speechless, utterly stunned by the display. Even Vegeta, the proud Saiyan prince, remained silent. The boy had surpassed the gods. Later, as the dust settled and the world began to breathe again, Gohan stood at the edge of a cliff, staring into the setting sun. His aura had calmed, but his heart still trembled with the aftershocks of his unleashed power. Piccolo approached, his presence a comforting anchor. He commended Gohan, telling him he had done well and saved the world once more. Gohan shook his head, a deep weariness in his voice. He felt he had lost control again, fearing that every time he used that power, he became less human. Piccolo offered a faint smile, a rare moment of tenderness. He reminded Gohan that power did not define who he was, but rather what he chose to do with it. Gohan nodded, a renewed resolve hardening his gaze. He vowed to keep training, to master the beast within him. Far away, in the depths of space, a familiar, malevolent energy stirred. Something darker, stronger, the shadow of Majin Buu. The next battle for the universe was coming, and Gohan, the beast-born Saiyan, was the only one powerful enough to face it. If you want more what-ifs like this, like and subscribe.